Yo, what is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Mo Better Trades. Today is Monday, April 14th. We are coming into the close of New York session. So we're just going to hop on the charts, man, and take a look at what price action has been giving us and see what we can look ahead to over the week. Now, I know that there's not too much news coming this week, or at least out of the U.S. Barring whatever Donald Trump tweets. We have Good Friday this weekend, so we only have 4 trading days this week, so you got to remember that. The banks and the TradFi markets will be closed on Friday. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get to it. All right, so we're looking at Bitcoin here. Again, as we talked about in the last video, we got to push up on Bitcoin on a Saturday. So I told y'all, don't be chasing price up here. You want to see price pull back into an area that makes sense to give us some bullish candles forming on support and see how it progresses through the week. Now, obviously, we have today is Monday, and this candle is closing, pretty, and it's still got some hours to close. Still got 4 hours until the daily close, but at this point, we're closing pretty weak right here, which is to be expected. We're just consolidating on lower time frames. Let's go ahead and mark out some levels here. We obviously got support forming here at about the 83,500 area. We got resistance. As I told y'all, this would be a strong area of resistance based on this wick. 1, 2 times we tried to push through, 3, 4, 5, 6 times we tried to push through this area and have been unable to. So it makes sense, and we're coming to the underside retest of this breakdown. So it makes sense that we're forming some support or some resistance here. Excuse me. All right, so on the daily, pretty tight range that we got from 86,000 about down to 83,600. All right, let's drop down to the 4 hours, see if we can get some better context, some more easily identifiable areas. So far, this is looking like a pretty good support area. I wouldn't be surprised if price, came a little bit lower down into, this 82,000, 800 area, be the retest of this breakout level, but it's not necessary that it has to. It could just continue to float around here. As we see, we've got support built here. Once came down, tested it, moved away, coming down again. If it comes down to test it again, we're more than likely, if we come down to test this area again, it's probably something like this that's going to break down and at least come fill some of this clean range down here. Not necessary that it has to. It can just continue ranging here, and if it holds this area and gets to the top, we'd want to see something where it forms some consolidation, or at least just breaks out, retests, and then continues up to fill this wick. Maybe take these highs over here. But if we get above 89,000 and we start closing prices above here, we're looking really good in the short term. It looks like it might be go time. But until that happens, just take it for what it is. We're just simply right now, we're just ranging, right? Obviously, y'all can see that we're just ranging. We are moving sideways. Okay, so moving sideways, we got nothing going. So we need to see either this happen or we need to see this happen, right? Something like that. Either way, it doesn't matter. This, for me, right now, this is a no trade zone. Just simply because of the way the candles are printing side by side. They're not really doing anything. There's no, not really volatile movement coming out of here. So, in my opinion, you don't want to be caught up in this area. You want price to pick a direction, okay? You want price to pick a direction. All right, so this is on the 4 hour. Let's drop down to the 1 hour, see if we can get a little bit better zone confirmations. It looks like this is a pretty good area, right? Like I said, this was Saturday's low. So it makes sense that we came and took out this flat candle here. I still think that there's definitely a possibility that we come down and take this flat candle from Friday. Again, it could look something like this where we press down here and we just kind of wick this and then we're able to get back up here, right? That would be the most ideal thing. Again, it's not necessary that we get down here, but be on the lookout for price to come into this area around 82,800. All right. But as you can see, we got a really clear range, and until we develop something, if we get down here and start developing some space and then we get a bullish candlestick or bullish pattern to develop on support, you can take the bullish pattern up to the other side of the range, at least to take out and test these highs. Doesn't necessarily mean it will break out, but that'd be something to be looking forward to. All right, so pretty easy price action. I love when price consolidates like this because the thing is, you have a very clearly defined range, right? If you want to trade in this range, this is about a 250 pip range, right? It's about a 250 pip range, so 260 pip. 3% range that we're sitting in here on Bitcoin. So there are going to be some opportunities to at least scalp this range. You just have to wait for proper PA to develop during high volume times, right? So during pre-London, London Open, pre-New York, New York Open, any of those 4 sessions are going to be really high volume times. So would be good times to be looking for trades if you get price to come into the POI that you're looking for. And on the short side, if it comes up here first and is unable to break out and it starts accepting back, you can take the short back down to the bottom of this range, and just kind of scalp that over and over again, right? We love ranges developing like this because it gives us a clear boundary for price to go, where price is contained. And once it breaks out of this boundary, it's going to be an explosive move, whether that's to the upside or downside. It doesn't matter. We'll trade it both ways, right? But I am leaning more towards right now, until price proves otherwise by breaking and closing below this area, I'm still anticipating that we will get some upward movement over the coming week. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead now. Got that. This is down on the 1 hour. You got your identified range, and then you have your areas of potential breakout. I'll just put here, potential buys above 86,000. Okay. Potential buys above 86,000 and potential sells below 83,000. And the reason I'm doing this, right, is I'm saying if we close below either of these areas because of the way price is consolidating, that we have opportunity to run and expand lower or higher, whichever way candles decide they're going to close, right? My bias and my lean is towards buys, but I'm going to be prepared in case price comes down below 83K and we get a shift in momentum that we need to take that back down to the downside, right? And if that were to happen, you got a good support here around 81, 82K, right? So at least your areas of interaction, right? Areas of interest. Okay, so that's Bitcoin. Let's go ahead and get into ETH now. ETH, again, I told y'all we're running into resistance. It is very likely that we are going to reject from this area, and so far we have been. ETH did get a push up and spiked above this high, took out the liquidity from here, and is since rejecting, right? But again, we can go ahead and mark out our areas of interest. We have support developing here on lower time frame. Obviously, we're going to have resistance developing here. This is a strong area of resistance. This is a very clear area of resistance. Okay, so got that. Even coming down here, you see we created a gravestone doji that was really strong, and price ended up filling all the way, broke to the closed above this gravestone doji here, pushed all the way above resistance, took out the liquidity here, and has since rejected. So I would say that this is probably a really strong area of support that we can anticipate is going to hold. So if we get price that comes down here and starts to hold, then we can look for bullish price action to develop to take price back to the top side of this range around 1690 1680, I guess 1680. Okay, so we have price capped in this range. Really obvious, right? Really obvious. Now, it may not have to come all the way down there. It could, do something like this where it just ranges until it gets above here and does something like that. Whatever. But one thing that I do love about this range right now that is setting up is the fact that we have very clean candles to the left hand side if we are able to break above. This is a really, really clean range. And, you know, like I said, much like the rest of crypto, or unlike the rest of crypto, most other majors, especially Bitcoin, Solana, XRP, have already come and filled this void, right, on their respective charts. They've come and filled this exact void and are actually already testing or have already tested this upside of this breakdown. And so ETH is just lagging right now. So when ETH breaks out, it's going to be an explosive move. You can expect that, right? And I don't anticipate that it's going to break to the downside, but that doesn't mean it can't. Especially given ETH's severe underperformance compared to the rest of the market, right? But if we are to get a candle that, you know, closes up here, I want to make that, let's make that orange, right? If we get a candle that can close up here with a wick above, you know, here, then we can anticipate that if we get a price to push down and respect these lows, that we can get a push up and a continued move higher into here. Okay. What is going on right now? Why is my shit's tweaking? All right. Okay, cool. Otherwise, if price gets down into here and we don't start building bullish patterns and we start really, you know, showing a slowdown in momentum and we start breaking down, then we can anticipate that we come maybe back down into here. Maybe we find some support here, but we'll just have to see, right? I would rather that if prices are going to come down into this area, that we're going to not spend too much time here, and we're going to start making our way back up to this area, and give us some room to break out. Right, a break and a retest of this long area will be lovely for ETH. Okay, so this is on the 4 hour. Let's drop down into the 1 hour, get some more context. Right, okay, we got. Yeah, no, prices, I feel like this is a pretty good area. I mean, you could drop it down into here, but, you know, I feel like this is probably a pretty decent area for support to start developing if should we get down here. This was the previous breakout, obviously. It had retested it once, retested it twice, retested it 3 times, and then moved away to the other side of the range. So now if we were to get down here, we'd want to see it hold and move to the other top side of the range. Otherwise, you can anticipate a breakdown further. Okay, so and if you wanted to trade this, right, if you wanted to look for an opportunity to go short into support or into the support area, if we get a break and a close below 1620, you can anticipate, you know, some pretty clean candles. It's a pretty clean range to move back down to a 1585 area. All right, so pretty clear areas of development for ETH. You know, I think that what I'd be waiting for is something like this, and to get back up here. And again, I want to see show some strength towards the top side of the range. By strength, I mean consolidation and then a breakout above it, and then be able to reclaim and hold 1680 area on the top side. That would give me the trigger to go long. And, you know, potentially we stop here at around 1772 where the breakdown happened. Or my preference would be to see, obviously, these highs get taken around the 1845, 1850 area. All right. Until then, you just do nothing. You wait until either of those scenarios happens. We just sit on our hands and we wait, like usual. All right. So let's go down into Solana now. Cool. Solana was showing a lot of strength. Obviously, again, coming to that same underside retest as Bitcoin, filling this wick. This is the wick I was telling y'all about here, where if you look on ETH, right, ETH's wick is way up here, right, way up here, and it has not even come close to refilling that, whereas all the others, Bitcoin, right, XRP, right, all those have. Okay, but anyway, so on Solana, cool, we got support developing here on the daily. If we were to break below this support area and close below it, I would say honestly, if we close the daily bullish and then we get another candle that breaks the daily low, then we're likely to come at least back down into this area. There's some interaction between this breakout, right? but the stronger area of support is obviously down here at $112. Now, it's not to say it can't get down there. I don't think I would prefer to see it get down there. I'd rather see it hold this area at least around $118, $120. But it's possible that it gets down to 112. So this is just an area to be mindful of, right? So we got support there. We got obviously resistance building here. Again, the breakdown, retesting the underside for the second time, rejecting away pretty hard. All right, let's go on to the 4 hour. The 4 hour is showing us some context here, right? We've got a really clean run of candles. This was an incredible sight. These just 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32 hours straight of just, I would say this is probably artificially manufactured move up. But then we get the breakout, right? So now you see that we have consolidation. Price is just consolidating in this area. Again, this is a really strong area of resistance. So if price were to break below here and close, then you'd want to see a move come down into $120, right? Give me 1 second. Oh. Actually, never mind. Sorry. All right, we're back. Sorry. Okay, so if price were to break down, hold down here, then we could see it come down into this area at $120, and you'd want to see some support show up, right? Something like this that would be able to fill this range, get us some space to get long, fill it back up to here, and then back up ultimately towards the top side of the range. Otherwise, if it's just going to hold this area, you want to see it hold, create some space, bullish candlestick patterns develop on support, and then take a trade back towards the top side of the range. And if it breaks out, you can play from there. You know, you could do the breakout, retest, get long somewhere where the retest is, and take it back towards $147. But we'll have to see how that plays out, right? That can take some time to happen. For right now, we're just moving sideways, right? Okay, cool. You know, break this down into the 1 hour, get some further context. All right, y'all can kind of see this, right? Like, this is obviously a strong area of support. Move this down a little bit. If you were to get a candle that, you know, maybe even closed above here on the short-term time frame, this is on the 1 hour, right? So if you were to get a candle that could break above these highs and close above here, then you could anticipate a move above this candle with the wick down would take us towards the top side of this range. Okay. Otherwise, you'd want to wait until you get some bearish candles to show up down here. Okay. Hey, Dad, hold on 1 second. All right. Okay, let's make this quick. My dad just showed up, so I'm gonna make this really fast. We're gonna go anyways. Okay, so that's what we're looking like on lower time frame. Okay. This is for Sol, so that's the ranges that we're in right now. All right, so we'll go XRP. XRP is accumulating very nicely. Goes onto the higher time frame here. Okay, so we got some really strong areas of resistance. Like I told y'all, again, we are running into really strong areas of resistance. We are not going to want to be chasing longs at that point. You want to see some pullbacks. So we got resistance forming here. We got support here. You got more support way down here, but I'll say there's some interaction probably on the lower time frame here. But this would be the strongest area of support would be down here at $1.95. Okay, so the nearest support is at about $2.11. Okay, so now we got on the 4 hour. Again, perfect. This is actually a really perfect consolidation that we're looking at on the 4 hour. Very easy. If we break below here, you can anticipate, you know, this clean run of candles. We can fill this lower, maybe develop some higher time frame or lower time frame bullishness, get a double tap or something that would be able to send us back up into this range. Otherwise, you want to just see this range hold and get some movement to the upside. If we can break above here and reclaim $2.25, if we can claim it and hold it, that would open up a move to the long side up into this area around 235 to 240, right? Otherwise, we're just, again, like everything else, trading sideways in this consolidation right now. So we need price to break out and show us which way it wants to move. Even if you drop onto the 1 hour, you know, you can see that this is a really good area to line up. Now you can move this support down to here, down to the $2.09 area. This would not be a bad place for price to develop some bullish strength, some bullish signs. You just don't want it to hang down here and then break low. I mean, if you're bullish, right? If it hangs down here and it starts breaking lower, that's bearish. Obviously, you can come and take some of these wicks, some of this run here. It's potential to happen. I wouldn't put it past XRP. But for now, you just do nothing. You just don't diddle in the middle of the range. Okay, if it gets up here and starts showing strength, you can take a breakout play higher. Otherwise, you just wait for bullish patterns to develop here. And should it be bearish, you know, wait for it to close below this area, to close below $2.08, and you can take a trade back down towards $2. All right, cool. So that's it. Very simple, very easy price action to read right now. Prices are consolidating very nicely. So over the coming days and over the coming week, we are more than likely going to get some volatile moves after this consolidation breaks. And we're just here to identify which way that is going to happen, react to prices as they develop. And until they develop the way you want to see them, you just sit on your hands and do nothing. All right, cool. I'm not going to hold y'all too long. That's going to do it for me. If y'all have any questions, please leave a comment. Let me know if you're not understanding any of these concepts, if there's something that I can break down, you know, a little bit more simply or a little bit more in depth for you. Otherwise, that's all I got for you. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you've made it to this point in the video and you are not subscribed already. Turn on those notification bells so you never miss anything we have coming for you. And yeah, man, that's going to do it for me. I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.